Okay, the next question I want you to answer, we're going to do this again, is how do you experience thought? How do you experience it? And I'll give you some clues for this one. People generally, in all the different classes I've had, experience it in one of four ways. They either see their thoughts, so you either see your thoughts, hear your thoughts, feel your thoughts, or know your thoughts, or maybe a combination of all of them. But you're going to experience your thinking in one of these ways. Now, if you ask that question now, you probably don't know the answer, do you? But it's really, really interesting. This one's easier than the other one. How do you experience your thinking? Yeah? So if you just close your eyes ever slowly. Just gently bring your attention into your body. Just feel the sensations within your body. And just start to relax into those sensations. As you relax into your body, you'll start to feel your breathing as it comes in and as it goes out. Just gently start being aware of each breath. At this point, stop thinking. Don't think. Keep following the breath and see what happens. And answer the question, how do you experience thinking? Okay, you can open your eyes. So how'd you go? We set a point, don't think. Could you get beyond that point or no?
Yeah, but for like not very long.
Yeah, that's okay. This is part of the training, isn't it?
Mm.
Can you notice that it's not very long?
Yeah, but even when I feel like I'm not thinking, I'm like thinking, oh, I'm not thinking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's, I don't know, so I get confused if I'm really...
Yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah.
When you're commenting, when you're not, you think you're not thinking, and then you're commenting, there's commenting going on that you're not thinking, are you aware that commenting's going on?
Yeah.
Then that's mindfulness. What you just need to work at is getting through that barrier of thinking that it's you commenting that you're not thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And notice that you're actually watching it.
So in mindfulness, are we meant to be concentrating on the breath?
Not necessarily. No.
Okay.
You can. What you need to be is mindful of something. Whatever is your dominant experience. If thinking is happening, then thinking is the dominant experience, and that's what we're training for tonight. So when that commenting is going on in the background, watch it. Notice how you can actually watch it. If you're sitting there thinking the thought, how could you watch it? Quite often we're doing it and we don't actually realise we're doing it. The same as with noticing that tightening. Yeah, quite often it's so subtle we don't notice it. It's just the way you structure your attention, looking back instead of looking out. Yeah? Keep looking there. You're doing it, you just don't quite realise that you're being mindful yet. Yeah. Every time you notice that you've been wandering off thinking, see what it feels like to know that you've been wandering off thinking. Does that feel really different to when you're thinking?
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep looking at that difference. And you'll feel the difference between being mindful and not being mindful.
Yeah.
There's a different flavour. This is what we're doing here. But what we tend to do is we tend to look back and go, oh, I shouldn't have been doing that, da-da-da, but we don't actually notice what's going on right now. If you do that, that gap will become bigger. The mindfulness gap will become bigger. If we're being mindful of something, it will get bigger. If we're berating ourselves, it will get smaller. And it's just more thinking. Now, can anyone answer me? How do you experience thinking? Does anyone see their thoughts? You see your thoughts? You see your thoughts. Yeah? You see them? So basically what you get is you get these images, a stream of images come across, and you kind of know what it means by seeing the images. Isn't that interesting that you're actually seeing? Is it like seeing with your eyes? Is it in your head, or is it like in front or behind? Or do you know where you were feeling it? Where you were seeing it?
Different places.
Different places. Okay. So sometimes
Sometimes it comes up from, I don't know, sometimes it's just like that, and sometimes it comes up
yes. See this? She's feeling weird saying this. If she was in the last class and all my other classes you were seeing, it was exactly the same thing.
Mm.
People don't like to admit that there's stuff outside of them, talking back to them, but it's quite normal. So you can get visual, like outside of your head, or like you're looking at it in front, or it can be inside your head, or it might be have no place. But some people actually see their thoughts. So when they're thinking, they're actually seeing them. Does anyone hear their thoughts? Here, here, here. See how different this is? So we've got people now that hear it. Where do you hear it?
I heard it mainly, but I also saw it and I sometimes felt it.
So you had a combination, yeah, of seeing, hearing and feeling. But the hearing was dominant, was it?
Mm.
Yeah, the hearing was dominant. Okay. So when you heard the thoughts, where did you hear them? Did you pay any attention?
On the right hand side.
So yours is over the right hand side, you can hear it. Is it like somebody speaking in, is it like they're speaking in through your right hand ear? Because you went outside, right hand side rather than right hand side. Is it like, it doesn't mean you're crazy.
No, it's not. I feel it as well, but
Feel it and hear it.
it's like it comes and I hear it.
Yeah, like you hear it, like you're hearing through your ear.
Yeah, but it's not
Yeah.
a sound. It's hard to describe.
Hard to explain because you're feeling it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it might be more of a feeling of hearing. I'll describe how I feel it, how I experience my thoughts. I don't see my thoughts, I hear my thoughts. Sometimes feel them, mostly hear them. If they're little thoughts just coming up and bursting, come up, don't become anything, then I just hear these little sounds going, doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, doo-doo. But I can hear the chatter, but I can't understand it. If I'm talking to myself about something, having a discussion with myself, we all do that. This is what happens. It feels like it's in my mouth. The tongue isn't moving, the jaw is not moving, but it's like it's right in the hollow of my mouth, talking, verbalising to myself. Just having a big conversation in there. And so I just sit there watching the conversation going on. Right? It's really funny. But if it's like I'm talking to somebody else, like I'm telling you this or telling you that, or if you want somebody to know your point of view and you start telling them in your thoughts, it feels like I'm breathing out the thoughts. So it's speaking, but speaking out through the breath out in my nose. Watch this. Don't take anything for granted. It's really, really interesting. Now notice something interesting here. First, through different people giving their experience, thinking does not have a location. Yet we assume it's in our head, don't we? Oh, where do we think? We think here. But what's your experience of thinking? For those of you that were able to watch it with mindfulness and experience it, what is your experience? Well, it doesn't necessarily have a home. It depends what's going on. Thinking can be behind, it can be on top, it can be over one side, it can be here, it can be down here. We also in the last class had somebody that it was here. Yeah? It's really interesting. Can you see how this could get interesting? This is why I want you to do investigate, because if you go in with that attitude of not knowing but just actually looking, the mindfulness grows because you're searching, you're investigating, and it breaks you free from the thinking by watching rather than getting lost. It's more interesting than the story. Now notice people see their thoughts, hear their thoughts, feel their thoughts. I know other people know their thoughts. There's times I know my thoughts. I will know the thought, but then I will verbalise it. I know it, and then I will hear it. And the hearing repeats what I already know. Just because I just have to repeat it to myself to solidify it a few times. And if it's a really good one, it will go over and over and over and over and over again. Just because I really enjoy that. Anybody get that? Where you go over the same thing again and again. Especially, say you're a person who gets irritated and angry. How often do you tell a person what you think of them in your head? Just exactly the same little argument. Little argument in your head again and again and again and again and again. Yeah? Does that sound familiar? If you're anxious, you'll do that too. About what you're going to say when you get there. You'll just go it again and again and again. This is really interesting. Start watching that. Start sitting down, do your mindfulness practice at home, and even in everyday life, and start watching what's actually going on. Don't take it for granted. It's not what you think. Also notice that different people perceive the world in different ways. Don't assume that everyone is perceiving the world the same way as you. Some people are seeing the world. Some people are hearing the world. Some people are feeling it. Some people are knowing it. When you feel that you have a point of view that needs defending, when you get frustrated that the other person just doesn't understand what you're on about, understand through this practice that that's exactly it. They don't know. They don't see the world through your eyes. They literally don't. They're all interpreting it differently, through different experiences and in completely different ways. Nobody sees the world the way you do. Nobody. And they never will. So when we see somebody has a different view or opinion, understand they're seeing a different world. And there's no right way or wrong way to perceive it. And this is where doing this practice wakes you up to what's really going on and draws you out of this little thing of the way I see everything is right and the way everybody else sees it is wrong. Yeah. So these practices are wisdom practices, and it's that understanding that frees and softens you.